We are very, very honored to have Marcus Fisher from Shands Lakeshore Regional Medical Center. He is the director of rehab, to come talk to us a little bit about the rehab programs and the line of work that he's doing.
Good afternoon. My name is Marcus Fisher. I'm the director of rehab at Shands Lakeshore Regional Medical Center. And rehab is the physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy department. And I'm a physical therapist. I've been a physical therapist for 23 years. And being a physical therapist, I've just developed a very, very deep love for physical activity and exercise. So that's really what I want to talk to you guys about today is exercise. I'm a big proponent of exercise. I talk about it all the time when all of my new orientees come into the hospital and I do my little segment on body mechanics. I find a way to talk about exercise because I believe that exercise is like the Pirates of the Caribbean show at the end when they're looking for the fountain of youth. Exercise really is the fountain of youth. I'm 83 years old. I'm just joking. No, it really is the fountain of youth. And there's so many added benefits to exercise other than weight loss. Weight loss is actually one of the benefits of exercise. But there's so many other great benefits of exercise. Some of the benefits of exercise is having more energy. More energy to do the things that we love to do, our jobs and things like that. Another benefit of exercise is also, for the men in here, I know the women is a benefit too, but better sex life. You know, believe it or not, that married couples have, research have shown that people who are married couples have had increased pleasure in their sex life when they, as a couple, begin to exercise more, okay? Some of the other benefits of exercise is also being able to do the things that you enjoy better. If a person likes to golf, if they exercise, they begin to golf better. If someone likes to go out and play basketball, they play basketball better. So there's so many benefits of exercise. But one of the things I wanted to share with you is that you've seen it on some of the slides that the American College of Sports Medicine recommend that we get at least 5 days of 30 minutes of exercise. So that's 150 hours a week. But I want to say to you that the best exercise is the exercise that you will do. I just absolutely love to go to my gym, lift weights for about an hour, and do cardio for about 40 minutes. That's what I love to do. But I would not recommend that for everyone because that's not what everyone loves to do. I will repeat, the best exercise is the exercise that you would do. Exercise is basically broken down into 3 categories: cardiovascular, resistive training, strength training, and flexibility. Okay, those are the 3 major keys. You should always, when you exercise, do at least 2 of those. Okay, you should, if you're gonna do strength training, you should always stretch. If you're gonna do cardiovascular exercises, you should always stretch. Okay, you should always do 2 with you should always do at least 2 of them. All right. Now, what I want to say is that when you do cardiovascular exercise, is basically defined as doing a continuous exercise for at least 20 minutes. And the reason that it's cardiovascular, it becomes an aerobic activity. The reason it's defined as aerobic is because you're now burning out all of the sugars and the carbohydrates out of your system that cause the energy source, and now it's causing you to use oxygen as your energy source, all right? Why is that important? The reason that is important is because when you start to kick your system into a gear where oxygen becomes your energy sources, your systems work better. Your heart systems, your lung system, your kidneys, all those systems and organs in your body work at a better rate when it's energized by the oxygen. So very, 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 very important to always consider getting some type of form of cardiovascular exercise into your daily lifestyle. But this can be done in various ways. It can be done walking on the treadmill. It could be done riding a stationary bike, but it also could be done playing kickball. And just so you know, at Shands Lakeshore, we started a weekly kickball game. And I'm going to tell you, I had so much fun. I was sore afterwards, and I was grinning from ear to ear the next day because it reminded me of those days when I was 10 and 11 years old, trying to kick a ball and run to first base. And like I started off this speech by saying, the best exercise is the exercise that you would do, okay? As a physical therapist, every patient that comes into my clinic, we give exercise to. Even if the person's diagnosis is a low back problem, we give them exercise. We say, okay, let's start off on the bicycle. Well, why do I need to ride a bicycle? My back is hurting. Because like to use it as a warm-up. We want to get your body adapt to receive the exercises that we're going to do, okay? So just getting on the bicycle and warming up on the bicycle, it begins to get your body ready. We're trying to get you to trying to start in that person, trigger some desire and like for exercise. Because do you know that your body, God has put in all of us a natural ability to heal pain? It's called endorphins and enkephalins. Well, guess how you get those things to come out? By exercise. So another benefit to exercise is pain relief. So when they're coming to the clinic and they're in pain and we start making them exercise, they don't understand that we're giving them God's natural way to release pain. So exercise is just a wonderful thing. One of the major reasons that I love exercise is because it allow me the ability to keep doing the things that I love in my life. I love to do my job. I love to get up in the morning and go to the clinic and work with patients. And I believe that me having the ability, the fact that I exercise gives me an extra edge. It gives me that edge. You know what it gives me? It gives me that when I leave the gym tonight, I go home and I get a peaceful night's sleep. So now I'm giving my body the opportunity to recover from the day that I just had, okay? And what makes you better able to get a good night's sleep is exercise. That's another benefit. Then, after I get a good night's sleep, I have more energy. That's another benefit of exercise. So I'm energized and I go to work the next day and I do the things that I love. But I'm also a basketball referee. And I get to run up and down the court with 18 and 19-year-olds that can jump a lot higher than me and run a lot faster than I can. And guess what? My exercise continues to give me the ability to run up and down the court with those 18 and 19-year-olds. And lastly, one of the things that I love to do is I love to spend as much time on this earth with my family. And I believe that as long as I'm continuing to exercise and do all of those other things that was mentioned today about your diet and your health, that I'll get an opportunity to stay on this earth as long as I can and spend time with my family. So I just believe that exercise is the fountain of youth, and we all can get involved with it. All right? Always remember the first thing that I said, the best exercise is the exercise that you will do. It can be exercising in a swimming pool. It can be rowing, being a part of a row club. It's all forms. Just because I love to go to the gym, lift weights, and do the Stairmasters, that's not the only form of exercise. And that's all I have for you tonight. Thanks. Mm-hmm.
Now comes the fun part. I'm going to ask all four of our speakers to take a seat up here. And we're going to open it up for a brief question and answer session. And then we'll be following Catherine Howard with some closing remarks for us. I'd say fun part for them, or for y'all, uncomfortable maybe for them. Please be kind because we want them back.
Actually, mine is for Dr. Mably. I work in home health care, and a lot of my patients have renal disease or end-stage renal. And my problem is trying to retrain them or teach them healthy ways of eating. And their reply is always the affordability issue and how to eat healthy on a very limited income. Do you have any suggestions?
Actually, if you go right outside here, there are 4 recipes that came directly from DaVita, which is a dialysis company that I work for. And it's geared towards the holidays. I can't tell you all of my wonder recipes right now because I don't have that much time. But it talks about turkey breast, green beans, party punch without alcohol because that has a lot of calories and it's not good for us, as well as sugar cookies. What people don't realize is, yes, sweeteners can be a bit expensive, but if you used non-sugar applesauce and baking goods, it has the same taste. It actually makes the baking goods a lot fluffier, and you can't tell that you don't have sugar in it. And you can get Publix brand applesauce with no sugar, and it's quite inexpensive. There are a lot of different ways to just adjust our traditional down south or up north, wherever you're from, recipes with small things that can change it and make it healthier. And if you'd like to see me afterwards, I have a host of things for end-stage renal disease patients and chronic kidney disease patients, making their diets and their lives much better.
My question's for Catherine. I live in a small community. I live in I live in Union County. It's really rural, and I was just looking at some of the programs like the sidewalks, things like that. I can only think of one main street that has a sidewalk. We don't have a YMCA. We don't have a Boys and Girls Club. Nothing like that. What would be your suggestion? Where did the funds come for something like that in a community such as Union County?
So funds for complete streets or
Programs for helping.
generally what we do when there's not the infrastructure for physical activity, not a YMCA, no gym, we go to some other community groups. Faith-based communities can be really important in counties that don't have a lot of resources or areas. Working with the faith ministries to implement walking programs, just healthy eating at church functions. There's a host of ideas. So is there anything in particular that you're trying to do, or just?
One of the things that hit me was the sidewalk. I know I'm from a bigger city down south where we had sidewalks everywhere. So when I moved to a rural county and I wanted to exercise, my excuse would be, I don't have anywhere to go. All I have is pastures around me. So I would think, like, how do you get that going? Who do you talk to?
Well, let's talk after. The Department of Transportation, I alluded to this earlier, they do have many grants for infrastructure improvements to improve bike and pedestrian safety and programs to help people use those opportunities more. So,
my question is also for Catherine. I work in labor and delivery, so one of the things we try to do is promote breastfeeding. That's where it gets started. I guess my question is, what are some of the things that you suggest us on how to educate mothers? Because I guess I never really linked obesity, how breastfeeding can, decrease the risk of that. So what are some of the things you suggest?
there are lots of materials. I'm so glad that you asked that question. We can also connect after, but the Florida Breastfeeding Coalition, they are very, very active in breastfeeding awareness. And she is right, breastfeeding is protective for the mother when it comes to overweight and obesity, as well as the child of that pregnancy. So in addition to all of the other good things that come from it, that's one of those benefits. So the Florida Breastfeeding Coalition are child care food programs. 50% of the daycares in Florida have food care programs that are subsidized by the federal government. They have very strict nutrition requirements, breastfeeding, and then allowing mothers to breastfeed, and the daycare is one of those. Our WIC programs and our WIC offices have good information on breastfeeding, and women that participate in the WIC program can also have access to, hopefully in almost every area, peer counselors of women that had to do it themselves and that are like them. It's just a great resource. But you're looking for educational materials, so we'll connect and shoot you some via email.
My question's also for you. To one of the daycares that get sugary juices and cookies. So you have as far as different snaps, or maybe give them resources?
Well, Let's Move campaign. Let's Move is the initiative of the First Lady. They have a whole daycare series. First of all, as a parent, I would be saying something. I completely relate. It's very difficult. But then, as a health professional or just a concerned citizen, you can recommend there's a curriculum online that works with the daycare providers that teaches them how to reduce screen time, how to perhaps have healthier fruit and vegetables. There are a couple different guidelines out there. There's national, what they call HEPA standards, healthy eating, physical activity. There's also caring for our children standards. That's just includes physical activity, nutrition, but a lot of other things as well. So it just depends on how you want to approach it. Do you want to approach it with the center director or through the other parents? There's a lot of different ways, but there are resources. Let's move.
Goodness, I could probably ask all of you a question. Thank you so much for coming. But the other Catherine, I'll go with. This is kind of basic, but in your practice, have you seen an increase in the younger children that need dietary counseling and stuff since you have been in this area? Have you seen?
Well, I have to, I'll be honest with that because I am new to the area. So for the past couple months, I've been in Lake City. But I can tell you from my experience, not only with my education, but from my hometown, I do know that there are increasing rates of diseases, chronic diseases that have not been seen in those populations in previous generations. Things like type 2 diabetes in our adolescents younger than 14 years of age. In the Broward County and Columbia County area, I'm not specifically familiar if those rates are increasing, but I do know that from what I can tell, there are a lot of initiatives for community health involvement here. And from what I have spoken to other individuals on, it is a concern, but to a certain extent I can't speak specifically.
Phones, is there a certain app that you recommend?
Okay, that's a great question. There are millions of apps, so it really just depends on what functionality you want to command. What's a specific focus for you? That health goal that we well, you don't have to share it if you don't want to. I don't think about that. If you are wanting to track food and calories, go for something like Fat Secret. That's one. There's also MyFitnessPal. That's a really great one too. And you can actually link the one app that's with the My Plate online. It has a graphic on the app that you can actually link to the website, to my understanding. But I think MyFitnessPal and Calorie King are two of the best because it's a very comprehensive database. And one of the best parts about them is you can verify the information is credible because it's based on USDA standards. So, thank you.
I had a question for Mr. Fisher. I was really interested in hearing a little bit more about your Kickball program. That's really exciting. So what prompted you to do that, and how is that received? Is that the program for staff or patients or both?
Well, it was part of the Get Fit Lake City initiative, where we're one of the businesses doing that. And one of the incentives, I guess the businesses they get points, and if we do any group activities, you get additional points for that. So we looked at group activities. We do a walking. We walk around the lake at our hospital on Mondays and Wednesdays. And then we just decided, well, what else could we do? Could we do volleyball? And we decided, well, let's just do kickball. Kickball is something we've all done. It's fun. I realize how much of a non-athlete I am when I'm out there doing it. And then besides the exercise, and you are getting exercise, you're running and you're jumping and you're throwing and you're doing all those things, you're trying to kick the ball. I mean, that's something that I didn't realize, that it actually takes talent to coordinate running forward and kicking the ball at the same time. But then the camaraderie amongst each other, it was just so much fun. We were just like, wow, we're like little kids again. And that is something that one thing I like to say to people when I talk about exercise is that when it's intimidating in the sense that if you're overweight or you're unhealthy, it's very intimidating to go out and do something like playing kickball, really, for that person that's really obese. But when you make exercise like a part of your lifestyle, I say exercise to me is just like brushing my teeth. There's no way I'm not gonna brush my teeth. So my exercise to me is just like brushing my teeth, and it's a part of my work day. I work out on the days that I go to work, and I vacation. So then when I'm on vacation, I don't work out. I mean, sometimes I will, but so in general. So you have to think about exercise and activities like that. It has to be ingrained in your day, just like when you wake up in the morning and brush your teeth. And hopefully we can make activities at our hospital and then other business throughout Lake City can make things like that ingrained, that, you know what, from years to come, we would just have a kickball program where that's just ingrained in the culture of our organization.
Where do y'all play kickball?
Last week we played it at Animadox. No, not Animadox. The softball fields. But we're going to be now this Thursday playing at Animadox Park over near our hospital.
The health department challenged you.
All right, we already got a challenge. All right.
I don't really have a question, but it's something that I'm really interested in nutrition and exercise. And I find that when I'm talking to people, they often don't understand cholesterol and not the genetic side of it. So Dr. Mably, would you please explain to people where it is that we get the excessive cholesterol in our diet?
McDonald's, Burger King, Pizza Hut. Oh, you meant specifically. I'm sorry. So cholesterol is broken down into a lot of different things. And when they say someone has hyperlipidemia, that means that the majority of their cholesterol is out of whack. So you have total cholesterol. You have what's called LDL. That's a loser. That is the bad cholesterol. And then you have HDL. They are high-fiving. That is the good cholesterol. And then you have triglycerides, what is known as the fatty cholesterol. So that's kind of stuff that you get from fried foods, processed foods, things of that nature. HDL, which is the good cholesterol, is a lot of stuff that you can get in different fruits and vegetables, especially like greeny, leafy vegetables. And a lot of them are just calculations. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have less of the losers, LDL, and that's a calculation from a lot of different cholesterol. So you want to watch out for fatty foods. You want to watch out for fried foods and processed foods from fast food restaurants. And I will tell you that I know in the state of New York, a lot of fast foods can no longer use the different processed things that are high in cholesterol. They're kind of like taking it out of, they have to take it out of their processed foods altogether. And then you want to increase the amount of the green leafy vegetables that you get. And it's something that should be monitored at least once a year if you're over the age of 35. If you have a family history of high cholesterol, then it's probably something that needs to be addressed at least once a year at 21. And that's if those numbers are normal, it should be checked annually or every year. If you have issues with them, then it's something that needs to be checked more readily based on what your levels are and if you're on medication. I hope that helped.
Just, all right. I'm going to ask two questions. On even? Okay, as long as you can hear it, that's good. Two questions. The first one is for Catherine Gwynn. Yeah.
Handy.
Well, it's right there with you. As a dietitian in a rural community, what are I mean, I know you're new here, but have you seen any challenges, or what are some of the challenges you face when talking to your clients?
As we live in a rural community, and I'm from the South, so I've been around these barriers, as some patients will explain, since I've been practicing. So from the other hospital that I've been exposed to as well, the education that we try and implement with them, they meet us with a barrier. They say, okay, yes, I do get my fruits and vegetables here, but it's the added fats that we're talking about that may be difficult for them to have. It's the technique with food preparation, the frying that's very rich, embedded in the traditions as part of the South. So that's one of the issues, just trying to modify that still is deep within your roots and has flavor, but that is a little bit more heart healthy. And another one is really with the physical activity in terms of some of the barriers with not having safe walking paths in the evening, or also just with family and traditions. So,
Thank you.
That's why TV exercise is wonderful. It's good in rural, urban, single family homes, double family homes. You can do it in the community center. We can do it now. Sit in front of a TV and move your body.
Well, no, while you have the
no, we're actually rolling an infomercial out of this too.
Well,
so
while Dr. Mobley had the microphone, I've got a question for both you and for Marcus. Okay. You both kind of touched physical activity in your talks today. Are there, and I'm speaking from this, let's say from a standpoint of an individual who is taking care of an elderly parent or something to that effect. Are there good resources, or what are some good resources that individual can use to help their parents in an exercise program?
Well, I'll tell you that if you Google physical activity in the elderly population, if you Google anything like that, you'll get a whole bunch of stuff. But what I like is, depending on that particular patient and what they're able to do, simple things. I know at one of the nursing homes back home, they did a Wii Olympics. And they did Wii golf, they did Wii bowling. So these are patients who are, I'm talking 65 to 95, in wheelchairs, who couldn't do much but move their arms, and they were able to do physical activity there. My grandparents and their group of friends, they do 15-minute boogie breaks. So they live in a housing community, and my grandmother's girlfriend will call her and be like, boogie break. And they'll be in their own houses, but they're supposed to stop whatever they're doing and get up and do whatever dances there from their time. Mashed potato, I don't know. I mean, whatever dances they want to do, they do their 15-minute boogie break. And I didn't believe it until I saw it. And I came to my grandmother's house, and I thought she was out of her mind. I'm like, oh, my gosh, Nanny is getting demented. Because she called her girlfriend on the phone, and next thing you know, she's up and dancing and moving around. And so it has to be exactly what Mark says. The best exercise is what you would like to do. Find something you like to do, something that you're capable of doing physically, and do it. And it's best to do it in a group.
I also think there's wonderful programs. Well, let me just say this. I think one of the barriers that we need to overcome is that is it beneficial for someone elderly to exercise? So just to make that point clear, yes, it is. It's very, very beneficial for someone elderly to exercise, even doing resistive exercises. Weight training, weightlifting, and when I say weightlifting, I'm not talking about me getting up on a bench press and trying to bench press 280 pounds. I'm talking just a simple little dumbbell. That's resistive training. That's why we changed the name from weightlifting to resistive training, okay? Very, very important for someone in the elderly age to do that. There's still so many different ailments. Osteoporosis is one of them that you can avoid. You can avoid an 80-year-old person. I mean, you may not be able to avoid them falling because they may just trip over a rug, but you can avoid them fracturing their hip. And trust me, anybody in here that work in the healthcare profession have seen vibrant, energized people fall and break their hip and see how they end up. You want to avoid that at all costs. But then you have things in the community like the Silver Sneakers programs, where those are set up in local health clubs. And then you have I would say if a person is taking care of an elderly person and they really, really feel concerned about their progress, maybe get them a referral to a physical therapy clinic. And it can be any physical therapy clinic, because once you get in and you start to utilize those resources, the physical therapists pretty much know where to kind of gear that person towards, and we can set goals for them. That will help them become a little bit more active and be able to move a little bit more. And then try to, once we see where they are, try to decide what better resources in the community. I love for the elderly, I love water aerobics. I love it. It's very low impact. I was talking to you earlier about Jack LaLanne. I think Jack LaLanne was about 97 years old when he passed, and he was still getting up and exercising and doing resistance training in the pool. And I always say this to people. Janice may have heard me say it. I say, the day that I die, hopefully I worked out the day before.
Well, thank you very much. The day after, yeah. Well, I once again, I want to thank this panel. I think you gave us some excellent information. Very appreciative of the knowledge that you brought tonight to our community. And what we've done here is going to be very beneficial as we move forward to become not only the healthiest state, but the healthiest community in Florida. That's what we hope for in Columbia County. So once again, I thank each of you for providing your knowledge with us tonight. And I'm going to have Ms. Howard finish the program for us, and thank you.
Well, this was, again, thank you so much for having me. And if I could sum this up into 3 takeaway points. 1, exercise is medicine. Do it. It releases all kinds of good juices in your brain. You'll feel better. 2, eat your colors. Actually, I'm going to break yours into a couple. Eat your colors. Shop on the outside of the supermarket. Avoid processed food because it's reduced sodium. And then small steps equals big rewards. It doesn't take losing 50, 60, 70 pounds. 5 to 8% weight loss can reduce your chance of type 2 diabetes or progressing to that by 58%, over 70% if you're over 65. So we're talking 10 to 20 pounds for a 200-pound person. We're not talking about a lot of weight. Small steps, so small lifestyle changes, exercising on the couch during commercial breaks, huge. So, and that, I think that idea is of implementing new lifestyle changes can be really overwhelming to people. It's overwhelming to me. So, but if I can break it down, I'm just going to park a couple parking spaces further away and increase my steps. And if that's all I do, I'm going to feel good about that. And then the lifestyle changes their habits. They'll change. So small steps equal big rewards. But thank you all for coming. This was a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Thank you very much.